Boulder, Colorado. One of those towns where the snow falls softly, the streets are quiet, and the houses look like they came straight from a postcard, with garlands, wreaths, and lights in the windows. It's a place where you feel safe, where you can smell coffee in the morning and pine trees in the evening. December 26, 1996. The Ramsey family had just celebrated Christmas. The house was littered with the holiday scars, scattered wrappers, toys, and shiny ribbons. Little JonBenét, a 6-year-old girl with a doll-like appearance, was missing. At first, it didn't look like a tragedy, but after a few hours, it became clear that it was much more serious. There's a strange note on the stairs. The handwriting is sprawling. The content seems to have been ripped from a bad detective novel. 3 pages of threats, an unusual ransom amount, $118,000. Too precise, almost suspiciously personal. That's the bonus the girl's father recently received. JonBenét's mother, Patsy, panics and dials 911. The note demands silence, but instinct wins out. The police arrive within minutes. At first glance, it's a routine kidnapping, but very soon everything begins to feel wrong. The police inspect the house. There are no traces outside, not in the snow, not on the windows, not on the doors. The house is locked, no signs of forced entry. Guests, friends of the family, relatives, come and go, no one stops them. The crime scene becomes a thoroughfare. The rooms are not isolated. People walk on the carpets, touch the furniture. Someone opens the refrigerator. Someone goes down to the basement. No one knows that they are already destroying evidence, the very evidence that could tell the truth. But they realize this too late. A few hours later, closer to lunch, the father, John Ramsey, on the advice of a friend, decides to check the basement again. He opens a small door and goes into a dark room where old things are stored. And there, among the boxes and dust, he finds the body of his daughter. JonBenét lies wrapped in a blanket. Around her neck is a homemade garrote made of nylon cord and a wooden stick. On her head is a mark from a strong blow. On her arms and legs are traces of tying. On her mouth is duct tape. The body is in the house. All this time, while the police questioned the family, took fingerprints, looked for the kidnapper, JonBenét was no longer breathing. At this point, the investigation should have gone into lockdown mode, but it doesn't. John picks up the body. The police don't stop him. Evidence is moved, erased, distorted. Photos, prints, even the blanket. Everything is crumpled, dirty. Experts will later say, this was one of the worst examples of crime scene handling, and almost immediately it becomes clear, it's too late and too wrong. Investigators start asking questions. Why was the body found only 7 hours later? Why wasn't the house broken into? Why is the ransom amount the same as the father's bonus? Why does the note look so strange? There are no answers, only guesses. The parents are the first to fall under suspicion. Then the brother, 9-year-old Burke. The version sounds wild. A quarrel between children, an accident, an attempt to cover up the tracks. But there is no evidence. No fingerprints, no DNA matches, no confessions. Another version appears about an outsider. Someone entered the house in advance, hidden, overheard, found out, forged. But again, nothing concrete. Even the DNA found on the girl's clothes does not lead to any suspects. Meanwhile, the case explodes in the media. JonBenét's photo is like something out of a glossy magazine. A little girl with bright makeup, in dresses and crowns. America is divided. Some sympathize, some condemn. Why would a child participate in beauty contests? Why does she look like an adult? Each photo becomes a symbol, not only of tragedy, but also of a culture in which appearance is more important than vulnerability. JonBenét is like a mirror of society. The cracks in it are too clear. 10 years after the crime, a man comes forward to the police. He confesses he killed JonBenét. The world freezes. Finally? But no, his DNA doesn't match. His story is full of holes. He wasn't even in the city that night. Just another man looking for attention, or crazy. The investigation goes nowhere. Today, nearly 3 decades have passed, and the case is still open. Not a single person has been found guilty. Not a single lead has led to a conclusion. Not a single piece of evidence has revealed the whole picture. JonBenét's parents died without ever seeing justice. His brother lives in the shadows, avoiding interviews. And the house in Boulder has long been sold. But the basement, it's still there. Why didn't the police quarantine the house? Why were so many violations allowed? Why was the body found only 7 hours later? Why did the girl die on Christmas night and no one heard a sound? Maybe because they didn't want to hear, or because they were scared. Sometimes the truth is not in the facts, but in the silence, in the way everyone looks away and pretends that everything is under control. JonBenét's story isn't just a tragedy, it's a failure. Not just of the family, not just of the police, but of all of us. Because everyone wanted an explanation, a simple, convenient one. And there isn't one. There's only pain. And the basement where the girl lay, in a house full of light, on a morning when everything should have been calm. Over the years, JonBenét's case has become more than just an unsolved crime. It has become a symbol of how easy it is to lose consciousness amid the noise these days. Behind the headlines, the talk shows, the false confessions, and the thousands of theories, there was only a girl, small, dead, forgotten in the basement of her own home. Her voice was not a voice, and perhaps that's the most terrifying thing. That in the traditional account, it doesn't matter whose fault it was if society itself turned away from the truth when it was closest.